What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. It's July 6th. Close to the New York session open right now. We got prices of Bitcoin currently at $20,186. So I want to discuss price action today on Bitcoin, small time frame and large, some trade opportunities that we may have, and then we'll get on to altcoins that I'm paying attention to as well. So contextually, remember, not a whole lot has happened other than the fact that once we hit this 17,500 low, we've created some structural higher lows right here over the past 1 week or so. Okay, now this is definitely a good sign because what it shows us for Bitcoin is that we're maintaining this very, very nice trend line. Not only that, we're staying above this $19,000 level that you could see on the screen. And then at the same time, we're kind of getting capped by this 20,400 area to about 20,000. Okay, so that 400 pocket between 24 and 20 flat is the area of resistance. So one could say that we are actually just range bound in this zone right here. So the trading opportunities lie within this zone, meaning as long as you're staying inside this area, right? This is probably a shorting opportunity or closing your longs opportunity up here. And then once you get down towards this area, this is where you might close out your shorts and then possibly go long again back into this area, right? That would be the general logic. But I believe that the market itself is trying to consolidate here for a bigger move. Now, one of the bigger moves that I pointed out not too long ago was this. I compared the 2018 breakdown to what we're seeing in 2022. Now, a lot of people think that we're supposed to have a massive capitulation event where we have a COVID style sell-off where it happened something like this. I think this current market is way more similar to 2017, 18, and 19 of what happened back here. Let me show you all that again. If we go on the 4-hour time frame right here, on the 4-hour time frame, scrolling back all the way when we had this floor of 6,000 way back here in August and July and June, all the way to November 2018. Once we broke that floor of 6,000, right? We capitulated all the way down from that 6,000 floor, almost 48 to 50%, which dragged Bitcoin prices down to about $3,100. I believe we are somewhere in this particular area right now, over here, okay? Now, the question is, do we sort of chop more like this up and down and then head lower? Or do we sort of invalidate the 2018 model and then we start breaking out because we've already had a capitulation right there? That remains to be seen. Now, I left my fractals of this 2018 comparison to 2022 right there. See that? So we're kind of going according to plan. You know, up until this point, we were doing just fine. And then the market started to turn around, right? This to me is interesting because this is actually somewhat a macro related turnaround. And I'm going to show you all that in a second. But for now, you could see a little bit, we've deviated away from this path that we had in 2018. We were following along pretty darn closely up until just this weekend, where we start to move sideways and then pop up. So now it remains to be seen, are we doing something like this, chop, 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 and then do we start turning back around? Or is this your low and your higher low, and then we start turning up from here? Okay, I'm honestly open to both scenarios. I am not hell-bent on staying a bear. I'm not trying to be a perma bull or anything. I'm literally open to both scenarios. Like I told y'all, I think the opportunities right now is 19 is support, 20 to 20.4 is resistance. If this is the range trading opportunity, it's a pretty damn good range to make a good amount of money. Okay, in the Advantage community, we took a couple of trades. Some of the BTC longs back here did not go well, but then we shorted BTC, which went properly, and then we long BTC, which went properly. So some we got right, some we got wrong, but either way, we're doing all right in our community overall. If you're not familiar with the Advantage program, my name is Amal, by the way, so I'm part of the Alpha Trades community. Here's the products page where you can buy our membership. This is the Advantage membership right there. Okay. So in the Advantage membership, you get full access to all our channels. Okay. All our Discord channels right there. And our Discord channels include Bitcoin analysis, altcoin analysis, things related to NFT and gaming, things related to US equities, and then everything in between, right? Farming, staking, and lending, what people are doing with different indicators. We have a 5K trading challenge account, which we start at the beginning of every year. You can see here in 2021, we started off with $5,000. And by the end of the year, and by the way, we made 157 public videos in 2021. And we ended the account, as you can see right there, with $26,880. That's a 438% gain. That was 2021. 2022 has been a rocky start. But again, everything is transparent, right? We don't hide anything. I show my accounts transparently, what trades I'm taking, what stop I have, what size I put on, everything. So because this is a challenge account, I'm basically mimicking what I would do in my main account, okay? But obviously with smaller size. Now in the 5K account, you can see at the beginning of the year, 2022, started off with 5,000. Currently, we sit close to about $3,400, which is like a 30% loss on the year. Now, remember, we still have 6 months to go for the rest of the year, right? Versus, let's just say you held Bitcoin, right? Well, if you held Bitcoin, you're currently down 56% on the year. If you held Solana from the beginning of the year till now, okay, you're down about 78%. See that right there, the measurement? So you could see that even from our trading techniques of how we've been trading the market currently, we've been doing better than Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana. So all in all, this is what I hope to show the community, is that you don't need to take a whole lot of risk, even trading in the current market conditions, right? But all you have to do is just survive and do better than what the actual index of the market is, which is things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana, or all those put together. And if you're doing better than them, then you're probably a pretty decent trader, okay? So I'd like to sort of show my community that day in and day out through our Advantage membership that we are actually performing better than the market, even if it's a down market, okay? Now, like I said, we still have the rest of the year. So if you want to join the Advantage membership and see how we do for the second half of the year, come join and you'll find out, okay? Because we're super excited in our community to keep kicking ass, to keep putting out analysis and trades and outlook on the market. And that's part of why I do these videos right now, which is that I want to show people, exactly what I do in the market on a day-to-day basis. And first thing that I do every single morning is just like I'm doing right now, right? I check out, how is Bitcoin doing? How are US equities doing? What exactly is the trend in the market? What kind of momentum are we seeing? How is the overall open interest in the market? How are liquidations doing? What kind of funding rates are out there, right? You could find out funding rates right there, right? All these things should be at the top of your priority list. And then, of course, the most important thing, which is price action and flow, okay? Looking at the tape right here, you get to understand, who is the aggressor, who is the buyer, the seller, what kind of momentum and force are they coming into the market with, right? And then all these things put together give you a better idea and knowledge of how that market might pan out through the rest of the day, through the rest of the week, okay? So that's my overall strategy of how I make these videos for my Advantage members at least twice a day. So one thing that I want to look at right now is, if you look at BTC on a 4-hour time frame, I see a few things happening. Number one, I see somewhat of a inverse head and shoulders building out. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Only thing I will say is I don't like right tilted head and shoulders, meaning when they're tilted like this, downward sloping, I don't like that. I like inverse head and shoulders when the market comes in and it does something like this and like that, and then it starts tilting like this. So your neckline is actually pointing up. Okay, because what that indicates is that every time the buyers, okay, were able to create a better bottom, a more dragged out bottom like this, where they were able to probably absorb a lot of the flow, even though it created a lower low, they were probably able to absorb a lot of the asset in this particular area. And then even on the way up, they dragged this right shoulder out, did not let it come too far deep. And more often than not, this right shoulder is actually tilted up higher than this left shoulder. That's the kind of inverse head and shoulders patterns that I like. Nonetheless, we are, in my opinion, seeing that inverse head and shoulders right now on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, right there, and right there. Other way to look at the market is we probably also have another bullish pattern, which is kind of like a triangle being built out. It looks like this. This is your ascending triangle. So if you drag this out a little bit further, right, that's kind of how it looks like. That's your ascending triangle. Ascending triangles, I mean, technically, like, they follow the prevailing trend. But if you consolidate like this long enough, in my experience in Bitcoin loves ascending triangles like this. And by the way, once it starts hitting this area of resistance a third time in the span of 3 weeks to 6 weeks, I've seen that play out more bullishly, far more times than it breaking down. Okay. And again, I'm not trying to be a perma bull. I have nothing, I'm not in a position where I'm saying like, oh God, I'm stuck in this long position, so I hope it breaks up. I'm honestly just sitting in cash. Like, I have no dog in the fight right now. So I don't care if the market goes down. I don't care if the market goes up. All I see right now is opportunities of range trading right there, opportunities of maybe this inverse head and shoulders playing out, this ascending triangle playing out to the upside, and that could yield some really significant gains. Okay. On the flip side, right, we of course know that there are still macro related issues, macro controls that are out of sort of the control of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin itself is completely guided by macro. So for example, the stock market has been clearly in a significant downtrend. I mean, it's undeniably a strong downtrend that you cannot even fight against because it's so damn strong. And the dead cat bounces are so sharp, so violent like this that, they really just scare off a lot of participants, right? I still believe that we're still in that downtrend. And if we're changing that downtrend, it's way too early to tell that we're out of the downtrend, right? This might be the bottom, by the way. We just won't know it till like another 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Okay, that's just how markets are. It takes a longer period of time to understand that there is a confirmation that a bottom is being carved out. That's just how it is. Unless you want to be a knife catcher, well, if you were a knife catcher here, or even here, and if the market breaks down, well, then you're just getting screwed every single time because you're not paying attention to high, low, lower high, lower low, another lower high, lower low, another lower high, lower low, right? That's the trend. We are in a significant downtrend right now. So instead of fighting against it, right, what you could do is you could say, well, every time the market sees a nice pop up, that's probably a pretty decent short, right? So even in this particular situation, the fact that price is right near 20,000 resistance, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue that this is a good short. It is a pretty good short. You could just get short now, stop above $20,750 or something, take this trade as a short back down to 19,000 and some change, right? Again, not investment advice, but that's the logic of the trade because that's the trading range that we've been in for like the last, 2 weeks or so, okay? Now, the other part of the logic is, and again, for our Advantage members, what I did was I write down these US equity updates and I tell people exactly what my thoughts are on the market. I laid it out simply 2 weeks ago, which is if you want to see a turnaround in the market, right? For bulls, you want to see a few things. Number one, you want to see the dollar start to break down, okay? So let's take a look at the dollar right now and see where we are. This is how the dollar looks. If the dollar was a cryptocurrency, the DXY, you would say this is a strong trending, market, a bullish market, a bull market rather, right? you would not want to fade this because you say you get your head blown off every time you try to short because the prices just keep going higher and higher. So as the dollar goes up, all you have to remember is the dollar has thus far, a pretty impeccable inverse correlation with Bitcoin. And I'll show you guys that real quick. Okay, so here's the dollar. Here is BTC. Okay, let me show you this in candles. All right, that's how that looks. It's a pretty darn easy correlation to understand. One is going down, the other is going up, right? So the point is that as you look at this correlation, you kind of ask yourself, oh man, this is not looking good right now, right? So in this particular situation, you have to bow down to the dollar and you say, okay, well, as long as the dollar is going up, this is not looking good. Then you have other data points to look at. Oil and copper, two of the most important commodities. Why oil and copper? Because they're the two largest industrial used products to be able to make goods, to move goods, to move goods from one place to another, for businesses to utilize for energy purposes, for governments to transact in large quantities and large scale transactions. Oil is one of the biggest commodities, right? And as long as oil is in a strong uptrend, okay, that is going to keep inflation high. That is going to keep central banks around the world wanting to continue to tighten their monetary policy by tightening their balance sheets, by tightening up and raising interest rates, because that's how they can fight inflation. So you want the dollar to break down, right? And copper, which is HG right there, okay, a copper futures, right? You want copper to break down as well. And these will give you an indication that, okay, maybe inflation has peaked. And then at the same time, you want US equities, such as at least these stocks right here, Datadog, Salesforce, Microsoft, Google, AMD. You want these to also get bid up in the market, okay? This will be the good sign for bulls. For bears, you want to see the dollar break up, you want oil to break up, copper to break up, and you want to see US equities continue to break down, right? Critical levels of support for Bitcoin, 20,000, Ethereum 1,000, and Solana 30. These are the only three assets, by the way, that I'm paying attention to very closely in the crypto markets. All right. So thus far, I would say that a lot of points look like this is happening, except you have not seen the dollar break down yet. You also have not really seen oil break down a whole lot, but it's starting to come down. Copper is coming down a good amount, so that's great. Oil has broken its local trend line, but it's still in a pretty substantial uptrend, right? You can kind of see that this is still a substantial uptrend. So macro factors, paying attention to the crypto markets, you kind of have to say that, okay, well, until these factors play out for the bulls, it's really hard to be super positive on crypto. But it's slowly turning around. Like I said, oil and copper, they're slowly showing signs of, breaking down. We see the S&P 500 have a pretty strong day the last 2 or 3 days, right? We also see that other assets in the market, such as Microsoft, here's Datadog right there, here's Tesla right there, this is the semiconductors ETF right there, and then Apple. They're all showing kind of signs of a bottom, right? May not be the exact bottom, but the good thing is they're creating sort of these structural, higher lows in the market, right? This is your low, higher low, low, higher low, right? Over here in the S&P 500 index, you have a low and a higher low. So the point is that in the current conditions, we can become a little bit more optimistic, right? But optimism should only be in context of still recognizing that this is still what we're dealing with, a pretty severe downtrend. And downtrends over the last several months, every time we see a pretty decent pop to the upside, that gets pretty quickly wiped out in the following weeks, okay? So it's okay to be optimistic, but just remember that you don't want to start calling the end of the bear market and the start of the bull market anytime soon, right? I think right now, The goal is capital preservation. The goal is survival and to be able to take profit wherever you can get it in the market. All right. So we talked about macro. We talked about the 5K account, our challenge account that we start up in our community every single year. We talked about some of the analysis of what I see happening with Bitcoin. And then finally, I just want to jump to altcoins real quick. Like I said, the only altcoins I'm paying attention to right now is Solana and Ethereum. I mean, there's a couple of others that I'm watching, but I think I'm watching them like honestly, like at the back of my mind of, okay, well, if we start seeing the market tick up, then I'll pay attention to those. But Solana is definitely at the top of my list as an altcoin, and of course, Ethereum, right? Ethereum and Solana are hanging on to these key levels, okay, right there. So for Solana, that's 35.5. If it could stay above this level, I don't see any reason why it can't go back to $42 to $45 up here, because again, similar to stocks, Solana is creating a very nice higher low structure, right? So until that point, I have to assume that Solana is going to move up if these stocks also move up. If the stocks start to crap the bed, if oil starts to go up, if the dollar starts to go up, then the plans get thrown out the window. It's really that simple. I personally believe that the current environment that we're in terms of the market is significantly easier because you could just pay attention to these simple factors of oil, commodities, inflation data, how the stocks are doing, and the dollar. That's it. And then, crypto markets will inevitably follow that, right? It's really that simple. So I think right now watching crypto and figuring out its trend is much more easier than it was in the previous years. And then Ethereum finally, right? What we see in Ethereum right now, like I said, very similar to BTC and Solana, which is a nice higher low structure. We don't necessarily have a higher high. So that's like the only caveat, which is, okay, yeah, we have a higher low, but can we get up here and also hold, right? It's not also okay to just get up here and then start breaking back down, because then you'll probably nuke all these and head down and put in a lower low. So all things are kind of up in the air right now. Just remaining cautious in the market, not pulling on big size trades, just wherever you can get the profit, range trading, scalp trading, trading on both sides of the market, shorts or longs. That's what I'm doing. All right. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know your thoughts on the market. Leave it in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up if you do like our video. And like I said, right, join our Advantage membership. The link is below. Our Discord link is also below or in the YouTube description. And I hope to see y'all soon. Okay. Good luck, everybody. Cheers.